What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this video, we have the Dutch are America's true ride or dies. The first salute. They did give us the first salute, right? The Dutch were the first ones to recognize America as its own individual nation. That's pretty dope. They helped America against the Brits. That's pretty dope. And so, yeah, big shout out to the Dutch. Before we dive into this, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to support this channel further, in the description, or all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's dive in.
Hey, my name is Jack Manford Vanderbilt I, and this is Jacked History. It's a history show. I'm trying to give you the basic rundown of historical events and people so you don't have to go into debt at some shitty state school learning about this stuff.
There we go.
Also, there's Google. You can use that too if you want.
Gotta impress black people is crazy.
Hey, speaking of debt, we'll be covering that in today's episode. The United States is a relatively young country compared to the people we share the world stage with. We've no doubt become impressive world players in our short time as a country, and it's not by accident. Because life isn't just what you make of yourself, it's who you surround yourself with. And lucky for us, we've had some good friends along the way who have been there when we needed them the most. I'm sure if you have a general understanding of American origins, the first friends that come to mind are the French.
Bonjour.
They were the first ones to give us military assistance in our fight for independence. And there is no doubt we wouldn't be a country today without that assistance. If we had to break down our foreign relationships in the context of human friendships, it would go a little something like this. France is that friend you've known since birth. Okay. He's a little bit older than you, but he still took you under his wing and mentored you from a young age. But you're two different people. Yeah. You have your own personalities and ambitions in life.
I get that.
Pretty much the only thing you guys have in common is your stubbornness. When you hit puberty, you became much bigger than France, and he realized he couldn't control you anymore, which caused a little resentment. But even though you don't always see eye to eye on things, you've never abandoned each other when it really matters.
I respect
like that time you were hanging.
I love it because it's like the teacher overcomes the master. And can I please just say, I would absolutely love if he would have been my history teacher, because I feel like the way he's putting it, I get to learn the information that I need to, such as, right, the French are definitely one of the ones to thank for U.S. independence. I mean, they were the first ones to help the U.S. in their war effort, so against the Brits. So you get to learn that information, but at the same time, he breaks it down in examples that are easy to understand. And I absolutely love that.
Out with all of your friends at the bar, and your mutual buddy, Germany, got shit-faced and decided to sucker punch your boy, France.
Oh.
Not only that, he was starting to talk shit to your buddy, Britain, too.
Oh.
Then he tried to swing on some other people at the bar who were just minding their own business. Ironically, you and France originally bonded over your dislike of Britain, but you all eventually became friends once you got to know Britain a little better. You knew deep down in your heart that Germany was a good guy when he's sober, but he was acting way out of line and you had no choice but to choose sides at that moment. So you decided to step in and throw some punches back at Germany.
We gotta jump you now. We gotta jump you, Germany. We all about to jump you now. Because you done got a little too tyrannical for it. You done got a little too drunk. And you doing a little too much and you need to be put in check.
Which kind of sobered him up. Even your boy Canada, who is usually the chill one in the group, got in on it.
I feel that.
And if you watched previous episodes of mine, you know Canada likes to fight dirty. Germany realized he fucked up and apologized to France and Britain the next day, and all of you have stayed friends ever since. It didn't hurt that the big ogre named Russia that nobody really liked decided to step in and punch Germany too. Anywho, that's America's relationship with France in a nutshell.
There you go.
But this episode is about an even better friend. They may not be as big or cool as your friend France.
That's okay.
But they're consistent. And as I get older, that's the most important thing I value about friendships. Consistency. I'm talking about America's true ride or die, the Netherlands. And like the French, we wouldn't be here today without that relationship. Let's back it up a bit to the origins. So, Europeans discovered this new world that we today call the Americas, When you think of the early colonial powers that raced in to populate North America, not counting the large population of people that were already here, the big three that come to mind are the Spanish,
Yes.
French, and British.
Yes.
Those three powerhouses
Agreed.
claimed significant chunks of land in the early days, and their influence is still felt today, depending on what part of the continent you're on. The eastern coast of the United States, mainly being Anglo in its origins, the middle part, French, and the western part, Spanish.
Hmm.
Except for Florida, of course. They're
Yeah.
Spanish, because they've always been loner weirdos, I guess. But in that mix was
I
the tiny
guess.
country of the Netherlands, who by the 17th century was going through its own renaissance. It was in 1609 that the Dutch ship Half Main, or Half Moon in English, first landed on an island on the American east coast. The ship was exploring passageways to the west for the newly formed Dutch East India Company. They didn't find any significant passageways, but what they did find was a shitload of beavers. And that meant something.
Okay.
Beaver pelts as headwear were all the
Ooh,
rage in Europe. I mean, the French were almost
dang.
entirely basing their exploration in North America off getting their hands on these beaver pelts for trade.
It's so that beaver pelts were like that in style. They were like everybody had to have a beaver pelt is like something that's so freaking wild to me. But I mean, if we were to say the trends that have caught on today, we were to tell the people back then, their minds would probably be blown too. So.
The Dutch wanted in on the action. In 1624, the Dutch returned to the island and officially set up shop, naming it New Amsterdam and using it as a
Which is now
launching
New
point
York.
for its North American business activities as Dutch traders and settlers flooded in. By 1664, New Amsterdam's population was over 2,500 people, and there were almost 10,000 Dutch people in the region. Many of these people were Dutch Huguenots, a persecuted religious minority of French origins
Mm-hmm.
who were sick of the way they were being treated in the Netherlands and found a new home in New Amsterdam.
I get that.
I only bring that up because my surname, Mandeville, was part of the Norman French Huguenots who fled the Netherlands and subsequently made their way to the Americas.
Really?
Anywho, do you know what island New Amsterdam was located at? Oh, a little place called Manhattan. You ever heard of it, Peter? You ever heard of Manhattan? You ever been there? Times Square?
Hey,
Shiny
I've
Light?
never been to Times. Yeah, going to New York is something that me and my wife. It's somewhere me and my wife want to travel to. I will say though, it's like so busy, and I don't like busy, crowded places. And I know that's very New York is busy, crowded, but I feel like it's also an experience that like I just would want to experience in my life. Just being in New York, right? The concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
I went to the Applebee's in Times Square one time. It was delicious. There's nothing like New York cuisine. That's right, New York City, a metropolis that has become one of the most important cities for trade, culture, and industry in the world,
Agreed.
started out as a Dutch colony called New
That's
Amsterdam.
crazy.
Places like Wall Street still bear the original name given to it by the Dutch. So why is it called New York City, you ask?
Yeah.
It's simple, actually. The British pretty much sailed into the place in 1664, bullied the Dutch out of their land, and changed the name to New York City. Let's flash forward 112 years
That makes sense.
to 1776. I think you know where I'm going to go with this. America has declared independence from the
Yes.
British and are in the early stages of a fight for their autonomy. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm kind of doing pretty good today.
Yeah, you are. You're killing
I'm
it.
really glad I ate to drink those 300 milligrams of fucking caffeine on an empty stomach. It's working out. Fuck it. Hey, Britain,
That
the
sounds
Dutch
bad.
never forgot what you did to them all those years back. Guess who was eager to send a shitload of weapons and ammo over to those crazy colonials? Dutch merchants. The Dutch were now siding with the Americans by proxy. But they weren't just supporting the Americans in some low-key way either. On November 16th, 1776, just 4 months after the Declaration of Independence, an American naval ship, the USS Andrew Doria, bearing the new American flag, sailed past the Dutch island of St. Eustatius, about 217 miles east of modern-day Puerto Rico. The Dutch soldiers on Fort Orange formally fired their guns 9 times in recognition of the passing American vessel.
And again, big shout out to the Dutch for being the first to recognize America as its own independent nation. Like Y'all are lit. Y'all are the ride or dies for real, bro.
This moment is known as the First Salute, a recognition by the Dutch military of American sovereignty. This occurred over a year before the French made any official acknowledgement of the American cause, making the Dutch our first true friends in
Facts.
Europe.
Facts.
Also, shout out to Morocco. This is wild. About 8 months later, they signed a decree granting American ships access to Moroccan ports, which
Oh.
began a relationship that lasts to this day as the longest unbroken treaty in U.S. history.
What?
You're some real ones, Morocco. Assalamu alaikum.
Come on now.
But Dutch and American relations went even further in 1780 when a statesman by the name of John Adams, who would go on to become the second president of the United States,
Yes.
secured a $2 million loan from the Dutch, which drastically improved America's war efforts as a result. That's like $50 million in today's money. That's laughable to Americans nowadays, but in 1780, that dollar amount was everything. We needed that money so bad.
I feel that.
Simply put, America doesn't exist today without that loan from the Dutch.
That's
They
crazy.
saved our asses. Hey, speaking of ass, if you use code JACKEDHISTORY at grillyourassoff.com,
Give the sponsor.
even though the Dutch were on board with us pretty much from the beginning, it was 2 years later in 1782 that they officially recognized the United States as a country. While John Adams was finalizing that deal, he purchased a house in The Hague. That house became the first official American embassy in the world. And the diplomatic relationship to defeat Britain began the Dutch and American alliance, which remains one of the oldest unbroken alliances in the world to this day. The Americans continued to take more loans from the Dutch in 1787 and 1788, and to the credit of our first Secretary of Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, he was able to pay off those debts to the Netherlands in 1795, when the United States of America was an official country at this point, after gaining their independence from the British. You can't ask for better friends like the Dutch are.
Nah.
Someone who saw your potential at an early age and had your back no matter what.
Facts.
That's the kind of thing you should never forget. And even though all of us get older one day and sometimes become different from our childhood friends, it's those relationships that can mean the most.
Facts.
Because those people know where you come from and made you who you are today. Obviously, there is a lot more to talk about after the American Revolution. But like I said, the alliance still stands today. No matter how boneheaded we can be in our decisions in the United States, the Dutch have stood by us. And no matter how much the Dutch have come under threat from foreign nations in later years, we had their back. That's a real friend. That is a ride or die. Please like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification button if you like Stroopwafel. I love Stroopwafel.
So big shout out to the Dutch, man. Y'all are absolutely lit. That's basically what I heard in this video. But y'all were the first to recognize us. Y'all helped us gain our independence. Y'all gave us money to help start our economy. Like y'all, like he said, y'all were that first friend. And there's no truer friend, no more genuine friend than that friend who was around when you didn't have anything, but helped you on your path to become great. They helped you. They saw that potential in you. They saw where your ceiling could be, and they helped out when you didn't have anything. That's the kind of friend you cherish right there. That's all we had. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give a bit of thumbs up, check out the next. I'll see y'all next time.